Still on the subject of tariffs and affordability, let me get to you, Michael. Now, we're making a case from our analysis that the presence of electricity, the universal access of it, affect every aspect of our social and economic development. In fact, it is the engine for that development. If you take a look at this analysis, you see that with the presence of it, we are able to reduce maternal mortality. There's vaccine efficiency, there's patient volume increase. In fact, there's girls enrollment growth, there is school completion increase. Very key aspect and analysis that are positive. But why has the pricing regime not been reflective of the economic statuses of the people on the continent?
Thank you again, Joshua. So the sector is very financially fragile, right? If you look at Ghana's case with the energy debts and all of that, one of the recommendations of IMF when Ghana went to seek relief was that the country should have a cost-reflective tariff regime. What that means is that everything that goes into the generation and transmission and distribution of power should be captured in the tariff for consumers to pay, just so that IPPs would not later on threaten governments that they are shutting down and all that. Because in times past, when we had lots of subsidization in our tariff regime, because also our distribution service wasn't very, very efficient, we had challenges meeting up the full amounts that would be used to pay the IPPs and all that. So the issue of cost reflective tariffs is important, because yes, we're thinking of the people, we're thinking of people who cannot afford and all that, but we also have to put in perspective the IPPs and how if care is not taken, we might clamp down on investments, because our sector is not able to pay the people whom we go out there and call them to come invest in our country and all that. But then that said, there are still tiered tariffs, and then if you go to ECG right now to buy power, I think you ask whether you live in a residential area, it's for commercial use, or it's for industrial use. So there are different tariff regimes for different users. And then particularly for people in rural areas, in Ghana, in Liberia, and almost all of West African energy sectors that I have studied, they do have tiered tariffs for lifeline consumers. Usually that the range differs, but in Ghana it's around 0 to 30 kilowatts, 0 to 50 kilowatts usage in a month. So if you do not really consume so much electricity every month, you don't pay as much as someone like my brother Rafi Richard, who lives comfortably in Accra and then uses a lot of electricity. So there is that concept of tiered tariffs. And then in all, it is put together to still reflect, so that the IPPs and then the people in the generation, transmission, and then distribution sector, so have their have their means with getting their monies back.